Welcome to the Solemn Vanguard channel. Today we go over what's competitive in the meta after the release of the Stargate Nation booster. But first, take a look at these beautiful playmats. Wow, 10 out of 10. Link for those is in the description. 2 weeks ago I made a video about what I predicted would be happening to the meta after this set's release. Stargate, that is. And now we got some more tournament results as well as copious hours of playtesting from the best players in Asia. I wouldn't call this a tier list because the meta is in a very awkward state where power creep has made many decks meta, then superior power creep has made a few more decks even more competitive in the meta, and then everything that didn't get power creeped is borderline unplayable in a competitive environment. I call this the pyramid of shut up Reddit. At the very top of the pyramid we have Victor. Why? Well, imagine Tavas post set 13, then double everything they got. That's Victor. Where Tavas got some first strike multi-attacks at 16k, Victor does even more with ease. Where Tavas gets a draw or two off Shipra or Melania, Victor gets a full hand out of nowhere. To be fair, I do play a more draw-heavy version of Tavas, so I usually have big hands, but I do sacrifice aggression for this. Victor does not, at all. Where Tavas gradually powers up Alexandros by striding and upping GB count, Victor just flips up 50 cards in the G zone and then beats your ass at GB 25, either on the new GR or favorite champ on second stride. Where Tavas needs to watch out for counterblast, Victor countercharges and soul charges as if it's nothing. Where Tavas post Stargate booster actually gets in a tight spot against Chaos because of all of the hand locking, and one Galphilia isn't enough, Victor unlocks with both their G-Guard and their crit, ensuring practically a full board at every turn. Oh, surely Tavas has resist, so the Overlord matchup works well. Sure, but Victor also gives everything resist, so it really doesn't matter. Oh, but Tavas has early game. Sure, if you don't mind gambling everything on one defensive trigger, losing your Tidal Assault and not having counterblast for your first stride. Why do I make the Tavas analogy? Well, the decks are just really similar. There is almost no level of clan exclusive identity between these two. They both attack a lot, draw a lot, have loads of resist and reach pretty high numbers. Victor just does it better and faster in every single way. Apart from getting rushed pre-stride by the leaders, Victor has no bad matchups. Their level of unlocking is absurd. Their first stride is absurd. Their levels of resist get around Overlord, Lacus Carina and the Mega Colony G-Guard. The amount of draws they get without sacrificing aggression is absurd. Victor is a superior deck of the whole meta in every way. That's why he's at the top of the pyramid and various results from Asia easily confirm this. Please don't come at me saying you beat them once with whatever deck. If you pit two great players with great decks against each other, where one uses Victor and the other some other deck, and you let them play 100 games, win rates will favor Victor heavily. Next up we have Chaos. If you know or don't know, Chaos after Stargate booster locks full boards from out of nowhere. Deluge, Close, Moleptom, Dumnium, Globa, whatever the hell. No matter if you keep a clean board, they will lock it fully. Resist is borderline irrelevant in the matchup now, and if you don't have it, well, that's just a free crisis lock. Back in the day, they didn't really have big power columns either, but now with Dumnium, they generally have a free 19k beat stick unless you choose to lock something else from hand. Together with Glueball, this deck now has hella pressure. If your deck doesn't have unlocking for days like Victor or Messiah, good luck. From here we enter the layer of the pyramid with shit that still tops but won't consistently top one like Victor. First we have Deleter. This deck is scary. It's one of the few decks that still stands a solid chance to actually top really consistently just by rushing and stand sacking. The one thing keeping them down is that their hand size is generally laughable because they have to call full fields to make the rush work, and their rush kinda depends on winning the die roll against the bigger decks. So if they lose the die roll and then their opponent stabilizes on first stride, they're generally done for. Here we also have Messiah. Since they can unlock easily against Chaos, they're a solid beatdown deck now, and if they do get to Integral, it's generally GG. Overlord is out here as well because it's Vanguard centric, making it care slightly less about Chaos, and it's still one of the most consistent decks. Tavas is still here because it can deal with Overlords very well and generally still beats everything underneath this layer. Harry is kinda here still with the new Harry stride because unlocking one column even with a fully locked board still gives them restands with Betty, Trapezist and so forth. And if they don't have a fully locked board, then with Harry they can actually make bigger columns. Now in English that won't be the case, so forget it since we don't have the stride. And I do think this deck will start falling off even in Japan until they get dust. That's basically it. Other decks to maybe watch out for could be Gredora, but it's just pretty easy to play around. Regardless, their massive hands and big columns can be painful. Nitros with a new stride, but they just really suffer against most of these big contenders. Wise Man Loop, because they only really need one open circle to win. Seven Seas Rush still did some stuff in Japan before the Stargate booster, and they're not very affected by our new Chaos and Victor Overlords, so perhaps they're still somewhat of a thing. Big Belly did pretty well before the Stargate release, but Chaos just destroys them too hard now. Blue Asha is a big maybe, but they did have a few tops pre-Stargate. Regardless, I believe the new Chaos hurts them way too much. Tachi still gets 2 unlocks and Dogma still hurts non-Chaos decks. We never see Tachi in Japan, but it always seems to top 8 in the West. I assume we'll see it on our side of the world still. Dimension Police got a few things and people raged at me in the comments saying they wouldn't be huge, but in the end they barely did anything, as suspected. Regardless, I'll be on the lookout. It'd also be hilarious if we saw a Blaster deck focusing on Alfred unlocks, but I doubt it. That is pretty much it. I'd be very surprised if we saw a meta that doesn't follow this pattern. I hope you found this interesting. If you haven't subscribed to the Solemn Vanguard channel yet, you know, this channel right here, why? Do it. Just subscribe to the Solemn Vanguard channel, and for the love of everything that is meta or non-meta, click the bell button to stay up to date. Finally, like the video and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Let's get some discussion going. Ciao!